Hi everyone. My name is Naing Lin. Currently, I am studying the MA program in social science at Chiang Mai University in international programs. So thank you so much for giving me this great opportunity for MOU, and also everyone for joining this presentations. So I will try to make it short. It's not too long, even though I think that there's many things to talk about the challenges and opportunities regarding migrant education in Chiang Mai, Thailand, or the whole Thailand, right? So these are my topics. Okay, before I go, so here's my overview of presentations. So I will start my presentations by overviewing my introduction background to my educational backgrounds, working with the Burma Study Centers, also my personal education backgrounds. And then I will go on talking briefly about the Myanmar migrants workers in Chiang Mai, Thailand. After that, I will focus on the education opportunities that are available for Myanmar migrants in Chiang Mai and in the whole Thailand. So after that, I will go on briefly talking about the Burma Study Centers and its work on providing education for Myanmar migrants basically in Chiang Mai. So then on, I focus on the challenges and opportunity that we face, basically from experience of myself and as a part of BSc. So challenges and opportunity. Finally, I will summarize my presentation by pointing out what we have learned from the presentations and also giving some of recommendation for all of our educators who are working on the educational development for people of Myanmar. Okay, before I talk about how I became part of Burma Study Centers, I would also like to share a little bit how I came to Thailand. So I came to Thailand at the beginning in 2018 or 2008. I did not have any plans to continue further education, so did not even know that I would have a chance to study at the university, because I only finished grade 4 in Myanmar. Then I came to Thailand just like other migrant workers who come to Thailand in order to earn income and work here and survive, socioeconomically survive here, right? So that's why since 2013, I had a chance to join the English program at the Burma Study Centers, so that I became part of Burma Study Center as a student until 2014. So that allowed me to go further education at Beam Education Foundation, which is a secondary or like high school, certificate equivalency, which is called a GED. So that gave me more chance to pursue my further education at the university. Right, and at the end of 2016, studying at at Beam Education Foundation. So I came back to Burma Study Center and to do volunteer teaching English to migrant workers. So as you can see in the pictures, a lot of our students are young adults. They are still available. They can still going potential for the future of Myanmar and accessing to the educations, right? Especially the higher education. Yeah, if you ask me why it is so important, I see the value of education. I also wanted to see these migrant workers are potential and want them inspiring to continue the walk through the educational journey, just like me or other who have been gone through this kind of experience. So I was from the beginning of 2013, once I started to connect with the NGO members. So I was so inspired that these people working on the migrant education, and I myself as a migrant workers and found these kind of opportunities. So I wanted to contribute as much as I possible, right? So I came back to BSc and continued until 2019 when I had to leave for the exchange study in Indonesia as part of my BA in Chiang Mai University. So then at the same time I was doing volunteer, I also started my bachelor degree in social science international program at Chiang Mai University. And then I finished my bachelor degree in 2011, or sorry, 2021. So then I continued right away to master program without taking any breaks. So it was so tiring for me, but I was so happy and I could continue like follow my dreams as I said at the beginning of 2013. So it was so like, how to say, I could not imagine if I go back thinking in the last 5 or 6 years ago. So in 2021, I was also studying my master program and I came back to PSC to teach again. But this time I was not only teaching to English like before, but now is I aim more, like I want to contribute more about what I have learned from the social science subjects major. So I wanted to work more on but it's more related to education. It's community empowerment and capacity buildings, all of stuff. I wanted to do that. And that is also social and emotional learning program that's become my interest right now. And in the future program, I wanted also to do curriculum development, because in the past we only focus on English, right, at BSc. So now, I plan to do more than that, and to include some kind of knowledge-based, especially social and environmental, in order to increase social awareness for these migrant in Chiang Mai. Apart from BSc work, I also had other like educational works. Like throughout the past, like starting in 2013, I have been like working and studying at the same time. So I did whatever I have a chance, right? So I did volunteer Burmese teacher at Thai Freedom House, another NGO in Chiang Mai, Burmese teacher. So I taught Burmese to the migrant children and adults. So at the same time, I was like at the university, I had a chance to do project with my friends at the university. This is a part of the university project. So we decided to do outgoing project in order to give classes for the migrant, like underprivileged children and the adults in the camps, migrant camps, and also the construction sites. This was very like a good experience for me as well. As you know, like most of NGOs, including BSc, we only offer the education. Whoever come to come to study with us or apply to study with as a BSc, or during the COVID-19, usually we open online, right? But this one is not like that. We have to go out. We go out and that's make myself especially realize that, okay, education that we offer from the location or BSc and NGO is not enough, because most of the migrant workers, they are always busy, right? From the open eyes to until like evening. So when we went to teach at the camps or like construction site, so sometimes we have to wait a little bit, even though we set the time 6 o'clock in the evening, right? And we still have to wait because they could not finish their work on time. And that's the reason I realized that, okay, if we open the classes online or even on site at BSc, not many people are able to come and study, right? This is some kind of like, even though they are like, they have inspiration, or some people, they wanted to study or to continue their education, but impossible for them because of the work, right? Okay, coming to the migration in Thailand, I think this is also a very big issue among the Myanmar migrants and even other Thai, Laos, Cambodia. So Thailand is considered to be one of major destinations for its neighboring country. Millions of migrants come to Thailand. Among them is Myanmar migrants. There's like according to the data in 2019, it was about 2.7 million. But these numbers are not static. It's changing. We can assume that it's increasing, right, due to the ongoing political conflicts in Myanmar that pushing a lot of people to come out and come to Thailand and work here. But there's two main, if we conceptualize, pushing 4 factors that making these migrant workers to move out their countries. The first one would be like the original place, right? It's push factors, political turmoil, forced military recruitment, ethnic conflicts, poverty, and socioeconomic. That's obvious in our countries. And that's why another one is also, that's not the only the reason. Another one is poor factors. Thailand is like becoming since 1990s, right? So remarkably like economically developing and industrialized countries, and in terms of income is more attractive to these millions of migrant workers, and like income opportunities and other like education and opportunities for them. So safety. And these are the reason attracting these migrant workers to come and work in Thailand. And that's also become part of their inspiration to have a better life and better searching for a better future in Thailand, right? But this inspiration not always in the case for every migrant workers, right? Many migrant workers still facing different kinds of challenges, lack of access to information and knowledge, and even including education. Also other issues like labor exploitation, abuse, and human trafficking. All of stuff that many migrant workers have to face. So the inspiration is another thing, but when they have to experience is in different situation. So like ensuring these migrant workers as like Myanmar migrant worker in Thailand, majority are young, right? Young people and children. So this is very important for them to ensure that to access to basic and advanced education in order to improve their life while they are on the move, right? So asking the question, why do we need to ensure the migrants access to education? As we are part of NGO and working, our interest is to contribute education for these communities, right? So in my personally, I think that education is very basic for human rights for everyone. Everyone should have access to at least basic education, but the quality education is much better than that, right? Is also lifting their life to move to next level. So according to the United Nations on the Sustainable Development, it says education enables upward socioeconomic mobility and is also key for escaping poverty. This is true. I would also argue that it's not only escaping poverty, but also can reduce social problems that happen in many society and social inequality. So different kinds of social inequality. That will be education is the key. I would say that. And education is in general, we can also say is part of socioeconomic and political development of the countries, right? And when it comes to individual, anyone who has educated, right, the more they got higher education, the more they have opportunities and choices, right? That also improves their future careers and living standards, right? So I think it's investing the migrants' education is the way for us to cultivate their skills and knowledge so that these migrant workers, when they go back home or even continue staying in Thailand, they can still contribute the development of their society in more positive way, right? So like education, not only like previously social and economic political development, but also meeting or the more we invest in that is sustainable development goal for the aim of the international aim, right? Is ensure inclusive and equitable, as you can see here, is equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So I think this is crucial for us to consider as an educator, right? So in Thailand, it does not mean we don't have any education opportunities in Thailand, right? But asking the question, do every migrant workers can access to education? As you can see previous picture, sometimes also, right? Sometimes not every migrants can go due to they came to Thailand not because they come to study, but they come to work. When they come to work, how they can manage the time for work and the time for study. So that's also another challenges for themselves and also for NGO working with them, right? So in Thailand, like Thai government has established a policy for education for all. That aims to include all migrants, including migrant children who are living in Thailand, right? So regardless of their nationalities, regardless of their legal status. So in Thai government, like Thai education provided by Thai government, it can be categorized in two forms: formal education, which is primary and the secondary and tertiary educations that you have to study at the school. But non-formal education is another one. It also called Gosono. It's usually is for the adult education. For this one, students who wanted to continue their education, they can go to study at the Gosono. It's only 6 years, but it's only available for Thai program. But if you wanted to study international program, you have to do other English exam as well, right? So this is another opportunity for migrant workers to access to education. However, like we can see in many cases, many parents do not want to go, want their children to study at Thai school. The first reason may be some parents, they think that if they go back home in Myanmar, they cannot use this Thai education at home. So that's one reason. And another reason is also due to lack of the communication between Thai policy, Thai government, and the local government, also like education ministry and teachers as well at the school, public school. So that's the challenges is many children and their parents have to face a discrimination, right? Discrimination is another issue that they don't want their children to go to the Thai school as well. And the last part can be regarding the legal issue. Many parents are afraid of registering their children at school because they have to show some kind of document, even though the policy said regardless of legal status, right? But they still have to check the document when they have to register. So that's another challenge, even though education is available. But another education provided by NGO is also accessible for many migrants. If they can contact with the NGO, like if they see information, if they know. Right? But these education are more flexible and no restriction on any kinds of age or gender or differences of their backgrounds, right? But even though it is easy to access and to study, but still like lack of recognition by both Thai government and Myanmar government. So they was faced by many NGO in Thailand that working on migrant education, right? So although there are many education available for migrant workers, both primary and secondary education, but often many migrant workers end up after high school or like finishing at school at the different school at NGOs due to like financial problem and other stuff, like not accessing to if you completed the education from the NGO, so sometimes like you cannot you cannot apply, you cannot recognize by your degree or your certificate cannot be recognized by many university in Thailand. That's also another problem. So the only thing possible is you have to study Gosono or either GED, which is the high school equivalency. That's the only way. As you can see, the picture is this kind of situation. Migrant workers can come from like at the beginning can go to university. It's very rare. Not many people can go to university due to like different reasons. So I would talk too long about this one because one of my co-worker presented in the morning. If you have listened, he might talk a little bit about this. So PSC usually we offer basically at the beginning we only focus on the libraries and the English classes, right? English classes nowadays extending to different classes, 4 different levels. Also, yeah, for like 0 to 1 is very basic English for migrant workers who did not have any education before. And the second one is a pre-intermediate for those who are already finished high school or like has access to English or different kinds of education, so they can join the pre-intermediate English. And the third one is more advanced. Well, this one is not only English, but we added more other, how to say, knowledgeable courses like critical thinking skills and social awareness by teaching in English, so that at the same time they are not only learning English, how to speak and write and read, but also they try to learn how to think, right? So addition to English class, we also, this is very late, I will say very new program for PSC, community empowerment and capacity building. It includes the social assistance for migrant workers who have been like injuries from their workplace or accidents. So many migrants face this kind of situation, like I said earlier, exploitation, abuses at their work. So we also had the COVID-19 relief projects giving out to the migrant workers who suffer from COVID-19 and did not go to work or lose their job. So we support some kind of food giving out to the camp or migrant worker construction sites, right? And in addition to that is SEL or social emotional learning, that I am also working on that in order to improve their leadership skills and critical thinking skills and communications. So the last part is library, that we offer the library service for the public, both national and international, who come to Thailand or who come to Chiang Mai. We allowed public to borrow our books, but it's basically Myanmar's social and cultural and political events. My main point to talk about this presentation is, as we know, we only have the dreams and we only have inspiration to contribute education as much as we can and also as best as we can. But sometimes we face a lot of challenges throughout the years, starting from my experience from 2016. So I have learned that different kinds of situation, right? So the first challenges may be standardization and recognition. So BSC's education is not recognized by either Thai government or Myanmar government. So the reason this is actually not only recognized, event of education can be, can be bridged to the next level, right? For example, myself and other students at BSc, if they study at BSc, so they can build foundation for English skills, and then they can continue further education. Because of recognition, if students can stop here, stop there, they cannot. Sometimes not every student, can see further opportunity. If they study here, they don't know that they can go further, right? So that's why they often become ambiguous in like seeing the value of education or losing their emotion to study consistently, right? That's the reason. And also for us as a teacher or BSc, it's very difficult to maintain standardized and systematic education, right? Due to the most of our students at BSc are like different educational background. Some people did not even have primary education in Myanmar. So that's very difficult for them. What is really education for them? Even though, okay, they come to study English, okay, they want to benefit from English skills in work conditions, right? But without understanding or without having motivation to study and seeing the value of education, that also very difficult. And yeah, it's very possible, like impossible for us to follow very systematic education that they can apply to everywhere in every school. Not like that. So that's another challenge. The second challenge can be maintaining, like I said previously, is related to previous slide, consistency and continuity in studying. So throughout the past years, we experienced a lot of deduction or like a significant attrition of the number of students from the beginning to at the end of the term, 6 months terms. So every terms we see the number of students going down due to the reason maybe one of the reasons is study habits, right? In insistent study habits. So not many students study every day and like enjoying the class on time, not like that, due to changing workplace, or sometimes many of our students they have to work overtime or get off late. So this affect their studies. So that's also challenges for us, how we can make these students to study regularly or so that they can focus on studies, right? And also lack of motivation. Like I said, I think this is maybe some kind of their habitus or their perception about seeing the value of education. So if we can build their motivation, that will be another way for us hopeful to strengthen their their interest in education. Another way, because of this, is also difficult for BSc teachers, right? We have many teachers, more than 7 teachers at BSc. It's also difficult for teachers to build a dynamic, engaging learning environment in order to make these students to be more interested and motivated in their studies while they are also working at the same time. Okay. Sorry, I feel like I'm rushing. Try to, okay. So this is, even though we have challenges, we also have like some kind of hopeful and opportunity to working on this migrant education. So we got trust and support from local migrant community, as many of our like teachers at BSCs are local teachers. We know each other with the students. We have a good relationship with students. For example, myself, when we had opportunity to go out reaching education at construction sites or migrant worker camps. So we got to know each other and we gained trust from these migrant local communities so that we can share the experience and what they face, why they are not able to come to class regularly. So we try to understand, see their situations, so that when we do that, we are not teaching or offering the education for migrant children, but at the same time, we try to create a space for this migrant community, whoever come to study with us. We try to make them feel that this is their community, this is where they belong, and they can ask any kind of support, not just education, right? So like I said earlier, some kind of social assistance. So that once we understand their situation, we can try to, we try to tailor our curriculum to be more like flexible and relevant for their situation, for these migrant workers. Okay. Yeah, and another one opportunity is also, I think this is very important for BSc and other NGO as well. We stand for the hub or the connection where the a lot of migrant workers and they can also access to further different kinds of opportunities. So first, maybe they can benefit from BSc, like English classes, interaction with diverse teachers. Diverse teachers mean, I mean that they can sometimes that they can contact with the international teachers, right? Like from Westerns or Europe, or even in Asian as well. So they can contact with different kinds of, they can also learn how to communicate with different kinds of cultural, different people, right? And they can engage in community programs when we do that. And language skills increasing that so that they can learn how to be part of, how to make sense of educational environment, right? Further, that also increase their work opportunities. And many of our students, once they know how to speak and read and write, so they can benefit from these English skills at the beginning. So they can, they can increase their work position and they can increase income at the same time, get better jobs. These are common among our migrant workers. And further than that is maybe, it's a part of like connecting these migrant workers, whoever wanted to go further education, so they can continue education. They can start here and for example, after they start here, they can go to BEAM or other like course or not, they can build foundation here and then go to other higher education. Just like, for example, myself, I started here and so I go further than this here. So I think this kind of situation can small, but it can make bigger, can make a big change, right? So BSc also further we provide some. This is a good opportunity for us to know, right? We know students, whoever come to study, we can understand, we can make relationship so that we can trust among students and ourselves. So we can, how to say, support this educational fees or universities scholarship. And last but not least, it's also BSc can be the hub for migrant workers. Either they want to go to further job opportunities or educational opportunities. We can be connecting for them. Okay, so this is I think the second last pack slides. So what we have learned from the presentation is I think it's two things we can summarize. Is the first thing is we can see what migrants need, right? What migrants need mean. Okay, according to most of our students, we can see that these migrant workers, they came to Thailand due to economic reason, that also employment and the income benefits, right? These are their main needs, and also of course social security during their living and working in Thailand. But very few students that they see that they need education or they see the value of education. So that's also what they see in education, right? And that's also related to less interest in investing the time for education or pursuing further education. Even though many students come to BSc each term, more than 60 students, right? But not many students coming to BSc in order to go further education, but many come to study in order to benefit the English language in their work conditions. So we can see what they need, right? And what NGO as a BSc, for example, is what we can offer is because we see the education, the value of education, and we see the potential of education for these migrant communities, right? In order to solve different kinds of social problem and also like to further extend their future opportunities and increase their quality of life. And yeah, and also what we also seek to see is like various types of education that we can offer is education, including linguistic, capacity building, and leadership skills and other social and emotional learning skills, different kinds of skills that we can provide for them. But then one thing, what migrant needs and what NGO can offer is if we look at what are the gaps, then maybe I think if we can consider here's I would like to recommend for the other educators who are working on education. I think that based on this throughout my past experience and with other NGOs, I think we should some kind of specifically for migrant education, right? Educational environments that can motivate the students' interest. So this would be, I would like to say, the habitats that I am also learning. This habitats is culturally built, is to change their mindset, the way they think, the way they believe. So if people are more like interested in education, see the value of education, we don't need to force anything. We don't need to say you stop working and then come to study. We don't have to say that. But I think the way that we can create the environment, how we can like balance between the work and study, right? So that's also another way. And diverse and flexible education. I think BSc we offer more like diverse and flexible education rather than sticking on the standardized and the systematic way of the education system, right? So in addition, I think this is also very new for me and also became my main interest, social and emotional learning program that we should include in our curriculum program, because this is one kind of building how to say, the mindset for students in order to set their goals and educational goals, whatever they have dreamed of. And that also can link their daily work and the study as well. And they can see further their future goals. So that's my main reason that we should include social and emotional learning. So maybe another one is challenging building. I think social and emotional learning can help this kind of challenges their study habits for among many migrant workers, as we can see. The last part is, I think this is most important for all of NGO who are working on migrant education. Because if we are working alone, we might not be succeeding whatever the migrant needs and whatever we can offer, and so that we can work together, so we can share the challenges we face and the opportunities we have. So yeah, this is my last slide. So what we have learned and so far, and I think in the case of Thailand is so important for NGO to work on different kinds of issues, particularly education is a key for addressing a variety of issues, social exploitation and other issues that happens among migrants, right? So NGO and PSC also is so crucial that in promoting and how to say, fulfilling the educational needs for migrant workers in Thailand. But also we should recognize that the challenges and opportunity is part of addressing the issue, right? If we do not recognize the challenges, and we might not be able to evaluate whatever the program, whatever we can offer for these migrant peoples, right, and their needs, so that we can also adjust, or we might able to adjust different kinds of approach or alternative approach, so that we can best service for these migrant communities in Chiang Mai and part of Thailand. So this is my end of presentation. I'm so happy to receive your ideas and suggestions. Thank you for listening. PSC ကတော့ဒီ Chiang Mai University ရဲ့ဟိုလက်အောက်ကတော့မဟုတ်ဘူးပေါ့နော်သူ PSC ကတော့ဒီတာမန်ဟို NGO တစ်ခုပဲဒီ local NGO တစ်ခုပဲဖြစ်တယ် Chiang Mai တက္ကသိုလ်ဆိုတာတော့ဟိုအဓိကတော့ကျွန်တော်ကိုယ်တိုင်ကလည်းဒီ PSC ကျောင်းသားဟောင်းဖြစ်တယ်နောက်ပြီးတော့ဒီမှာလည်းစာတင်တယ်ဒီမှာလည်းလုပ်တယ်အတွက်ကြောင့်ကျွန်တော်ကဒီကနေပြီးတော့မှဟိုပြောရမယ်လို့ရှိရင်ဟိုတခြားဟို education ဒီ Chiang Mai တက္ကသိုလ်မှာတက်ရောက်ဖြစ်ခဲ့တဲ့ဥစ္စာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါပါပဲဒါပေမဲ့ဟိုအလားလာတော့ရှိတာပေါ့နော်ဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်ကိုယ်တိုင်လည်းဒီကနေလာတယ်နောက်ပြီး BSc နဲ့လည်းဒီ Chiang Mai တက္ကသိုလ်နဲ့လည်းရင်းနှီးမှုရှိတယ်ဆိုတော့ရင်းနှီးမှုရှိတယ်ဆိုတာတချို့နောက်တော့ဖြစ်ကတော့ဒီ social science ပေါ့နော်အခါကျလို့ရှိရင်ဒီ social science ကသူတို့အဲ့လိုမျိုး international ကျောင်းသားတွေနဲ့ဟိုပြည်ပြည်ဆိုင်ရာတခြားကျောင်းသားတွေကနေအဲ့လိုမျိုး internship ပဲတော့မဟုတ်ပါတယ်လေးလာရေးခီးတွေပါလာလုပ်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင် migrant education နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့လာလုပ်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင် BSc ကိုလာရောက်တာမျိုးတွေရှိရပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီအချိန်မျိုးကြလို့ရှိရင် BSc ကနေပြီးတော့မှ BSc ရဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေနဲ့ဟိုအခွင့်အလမ်းပေးတဲ့သဘောမျိုးနော်ဒီသူတို့ရှိမှရှိတဲ့ international ကျောင်းသားတွေနဲ့ဒီ BSc မှာလာတက်တဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေနဲ့ချိတ်ဆက်ပေးရပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကျောင်းသားတွေတချို့ကျောင်းသားတွေလို့ရှိရင်သူတို့ရဲ့ motivation တွေပို့ပြီးတော့တွေ့လာတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုနေရာမျိုးမှာသူတို့အတွက်ဟိုအခွင့်အလမ်းရှိတယ်ဆိုတာသူတို့သိလာတဲ့အချိန်ကြလို့ရှိရင်သူတို့ရဲ့စာတင်တချို့ကျောင်းသားတွေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့လိုမျိုးဆွဲမမှန်နဲ့စောက်ချချနဲ့တက်တာမျိုးရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတွေသူတို့အတွက်ဟိုအခွင့်အလမ်းတွေတော့ရှိတယ်ဗျဒါပေမဲ့Chiang Mai တက္ကသိုလ်အောက်ကတော့အဲ့လိုတော့လောက်တာမျိုးတော့မရှိဘူးBSc ကတော့ကျွန်တော်ပြောတာပေါ့နော် BSc ကကျွန်တော်ကဒီ standardize မဟုတ်တဲ့ကြောင့်အဲ့လိုမျိုး okay တစ်နှစ်ကိုဘယ်လောက်ပြီးရလို့တော့မရှိဘူးပေါ့နော်နောက်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့မှာတိတိကျကျ information မရှိတာဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့သိတာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီလိုမျိုး6 months ပေါ့နော်6လတာတစ် term ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့အဲ့လိုမျိုးကျောင်းသား50နဲ့60စီဟို average တော့ရှိရပေါ့နော်တချို့ကျောင်းသားတွေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းဆက်ပြီးတော့ level 3ပဲဖြစ်ပဲရှိတာဆိုတော့လေ level 3မှာပဲသူတို့အမှပဲဆက်ပြီးတော့တက်တာမျိုးတွေတော့ရှိရပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့တချို့တွေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းဒီမှာ satisfy တော့မဟုတ်လို့ရှိရင်အလုပ်ပြောင်းသွားလို့နေရာပြောင်းသွားလို့ဆိုရင်ရက်သွားတာမျိုးတွေလည်းရှိရပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီကပြီးသွားလို့ရှိရင်တော့ဟိုလမ်းတော့ဘာရှိမလဲဆိုတော့တချို့ကျတော့သူတို့ရဲ့အလုပ်ခွင်မှာပြန်ပြီးတော့အသုံးချလို့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်အလုပ်ခွင်မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သူတို့ရဲ့ position ကောင်းရတာမျိုးပေါ့နော် position ကောင်းရတာမျိုးလို့လာစာတိုးတက်တာမျိုးလို့တာမန်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဥပမာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဟိုအလုပ်ခွင်ထဲမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဟိုလုံးဝဟိုတာမန်ဟိုပကံစီးရနေပြီးတော့တခြားဟို service ပေါ့နော်ရှေ့မှာလောက်ရတာမျိုးတွေရှိကြပါဘောနော်အင်္ဂလိပ်စကားတွေပဲတက်လို့ရှိရင်ဒါကျတော့အလုပ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရပါဘောနော်တခြားတချို့ကျောင်းသားတွေကျတော့ဒီ further education သွားနေတယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တို့အတွက်ကျတော့ဟိုအခွင့်အလမ်းကောင်းတာပေါ့နော်ဒီမှာအင်္ဂလိပ်စကားတို့ကောင်းလေ့လာသွားတယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်မဟုတ်တို့ GED တက်မလားဒါမှမဟုတ်လို့ရှိရင် course on knowledge တချို့ကျောင်းသားတွေဆိုလို့ရှိရင် course on knowledge တက်ထားတယ်ပေါ့နော် course on knowledge တက်ထားဆိုရင်ဒီကလည်းအင်္ဂလိပ်စကားကောင်းတယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တို့အတွက်ဒီ international ဟိုကျောင်းတွေပါလေရှောက်ဖို့ဟိုခွင့်လန်းပို့ပြီးတော့ရတာပေါ့ဒီနှစ်လမ်းပေါ့အဓိကတော့ occupation နဲ့ဒီ education အဲ့ဒါပါပဲတချို့ဆိုတော့တက္ကသိုလ်ပြီးပြောင်းသွားတယ်ဟုတ်ကဲ့ Thai language တော့ကျွန်တော်မှတော့မရှိဘူးဟိုဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်ဆရာမတွေလည်းကျွန်တော်ဖွဲ့စည်းရလဲအဲ့လောက်မကြည့်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့ပေါ့နော်အဓိကတော့စစကိုကျွန်တော်ဖွင့်တော့လဲအင်္ဂလိပ်စာပဲဖြစ်တယ်နောက်မှဒီတခြားဒီ social awareness တွေပါတယ် critical thinking skills တွေပါတယ်ဖြည့်လာတာမျိုးနောက်ပြီးတော့ဒီcapacity building အဲ့ဒါတွေပဲရှိတယ်ထိုင်းကတော့မရှိဘူးဒါပေမဲ့အနာဂတ်တော့ပြောလို့တော့မရသေးဘူးပေါ့နော်မြန်မာအစာအတန်းတွေထိုင်းအတန်းတွေတော့စဉ်းစားထားတာတော့ရှိတယ်ဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့အခုကျွန်တော်တို့ project ထဲမှာတော့ project ထဲမှာတော့ပါမယ်လို့ထင်တယ်